I'm hoping I've got the camera in a good place to see what's happening and also pick up the sound as I describe what I'm doing. This is going to be ASBO number 37, which I've already stripped, tuned and almost completely rebuilt the engine of, but that's not really what we're talking about here. I'd always promised a few people that I would discuss how I go about the oil change process when I service a Bullet. So I'm at a stage with this one where I've got to put a new filter into the timing cover. Obviously the timing cover hasn't gone back on yet, and the engine's reassembled. I've actually already got some oil in the crankcase, but let's assume that I've drained the oil. I haven't got oil in here yet. Normally when I drain the oil, I remove both plugs from underneath the engine, drain the tank part of the engine obviously, but this front one here, down at the bottom front of the engine, I take that out as well and drain the crankcase. And that means that when I've refilled the oil here and I'm getting the engine ready to go again, that there's no oil in the crankcase until the engine runs, and it could have to run for, you know, half a minute, whatever, before it gets enough oil in there to start splashing it around and oil in the piston. So what I like to do is get an ordinary squirty oil can like this, and just through the worm nut oil seal, just push the end of the oil can into it. You might have a rubber seal, you might have a cork one, it doesn't really matter which. And just give about 20 pumps of the oil can, obviously with engine oil in it, and that will force oil through the big end, and it will run down flywheels and gather in the crankcase, so it sort of lubes the big end a bit and also wets the crankcase and the flywheels with oil, so that when you start up there's a bit of oil there to be flung around at the piston and the bore and so on. And yeah, it might even be partially wet sump to a degree to begin with, but at least you've got oil in there, and you know that everything's going to get some as soon as the engine starts up. Now with the timing cover off, I like to take the timing cover off when I'm doing an oil change, not just an engine strip or rebuild or whatever, because sometimes you've got to take the exhaust pipe off to get the timing cover off, but I think it's worth it because it gives you a chance to check your oil pump drive spindle teeth and also the worm nut teeth, which in this case are both good, so this is going to go back together. And on top of that you can also just check your timing gear teeth and so on, and general look around in there, see that you're happy with everything. Also the condition of the tube on the quill bolt there, this one's good. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to tip the timing cover up. I've got the new filter in there already, and I'm going to prime it, because this is how you can do it with the timing cover off. You can actually fill that chamber with oil. It's all well and good soaking the filters first and, you know, take the spark plug out and kick the engine over frantically or wheel the thing around for half an hour. If you just fill this chamber with oil, it saves you having to do all of that. Got that full now. The level will drop a bit as obviously the oil filter soaks up some of the oil. I'll just top it up again a bit, and maybe do it again in a moment, and then I'll put the cap, the inner cap, spring and felt seal and washer, and the outer cap all back on it, and then I'll refit the timing cover. Get one more splash of oil there. That should do us. Plenty of oil in that now. There we go. Just reassemble this lot. Got inner cap on, and then we have belt seal and the washer, followed by the spring. Hopefully we can see all this on camera. Then the outer cap. Finally fit the nut and the fibre washer back on. Now I'll just go out of shot briefly while I get a spanner just to nip this up. now. Up, there we are. I've also previously checked that the oil pumps in this one are in good condition, and you can actually see there's a little bit of oil already present there. So I'll put the timing cover on now. Just locate that tube into there carefully. There we go. Now it just remains for me to fit the screws in here. Screw the timing cover on, and then that's all primed up, ready to go. And once I put oil in here, it'll meet up with the oil pump, and as soon as the engine's started, it'll start pumping oil around straight away, because there's already some oil in the crankcase there, which will get picked up on the return side. So everything should get oil as soon as it starts. And just little things like that can prolong the lives of these